Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
How is everybody?
I've got my coffee.
That's the go juice makes it happen, right? I did put in the chat a poll that you could do about fundraising you guys are already currently doing. I was hoping to be a hyperlink, but you have to copy and paste it. Or you can even, when we get to that slide, there'll be a QR code you can use on your phone. My least favorite part of teaching is fundraising. Another quick question you guys could answer too is, if we go in person next year for this conference in the 6 states, which state do you want to go to the most? Either just say it, there's only a few of us, so you can put it in the chat, or you can just say it out loud. I, of course, want to go to Alaska.
I think Alaska would be a great idea as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because I'm in Alaska. I wrote.
Yep. That's what the consensus has been, is just not the state I'm in. That's the board's like, as long as I'm not the state I'm in. Wyoming would be great. Our problem is just we don't have transportation opportunities. The best hub for us is Denver, and that's still an hour plus away from Cheyenne. So
Where are you? Are you in Cheyenne?
I'm east of Cheyenne, 40 miles. And I'll show that, but I'm in Pine Bluffs. I'm right on the Nebraska border.
Okay.
Right on the Nebraska border, and Colorado's probably 12 miles south of me. So, buenos dias, Adriana. Good job of representing Walt again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the support.
It was fun to have you as my background. I was trying to figure out ways I could hug on to you yesterday.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
Hey, how do I change my background? My son gave me this background. I don't know how to change it now.
So that happened to me one time too, and I didn't know how to get out of it. But on the stop video, or the video down below to the bottom left, there's a little arrow up, and you should go click that and choose different background.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we only have 30 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of get started. Once again, in the chat, I put a poll that you all can answer. It's just kind of, what do you currently need to do for fundraising? Fundraising is my least favorite thing to do. Maybe not my least favorite thing as a teacher, but I just don't enjoy doing it.
Can you do can you put it again, please? Because I just got in. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Yes, if you just get in, you don't see it then.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Still getting
And
used
I
to the
detest fundraising as well, by the way.
Pardon?
I detest fundraising as well.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not my skill set. We'll just say that. And to what I'm about to tell you, may or may not work for your school and your community, but it was awesome for my community. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get going, get my slide going here. And yes, this is not clickbait, but I did get $2,000 for my Spanish program. I have a classroom, my budget, I get $200 a year for my classroom budget. And that goes pretty quickly. But this is something our community here in Pine Bluffs did, and we raised over $85,000 in one evening. So hopefully, like I said, this will be something you can take to your people and do something similar. But that question was, what kind of fundraisers do you sponsor currently? And this is the answers you were giving. Volunteering, let's see, grants are a great one. Looks like volunteering and grants are some of the largest ones here. Concessions, oh my gosh, I hate concessions. That happens with our sophomores at our school, and I sponsored that one year, and we were robbed blind from that, just because that cash box, and it's just no fun. So as we see, lots of different things there. We used to do in my Spanish club, we did an enchilada sale. We'd make enchiladas and sell those, and that was a really fun time. It was time consuming, took most of the day, but it was work. It was work, as you all know. Let's see. So I am located in Southeast Wyoming, Pine Bluffs, Wyoming. I am 40 miles east of Cheyenne and about 90 miles east of Adriana and Laramie. Like I said, I'm right on the Nebraska border. We have 2 exits in our population of a little over 1,100 on I-80. And one exit is the Wyoming-Nebraska border. And like I said, south of us is about Colorado, about 12 miles. Of course, we have all sorts of costs as teachers, online subscriptions, which seem to be getting more and more expensive all the time. Classroom items, of course, the CI readers are pretty popular right now, and posters, etc. Assessments, excuse me, this is the one thing that we've been struggling to get financing for and get some money for, is doing these assessments like the Stamp or Apple. And that is one of the things I got to do with PNCFL, I'm sorry, with JNCLS and Nicholas a couple of weeks ago, was try to help advocate for some funding for that at a national level that could hopefully trickle down to all of us. And those types of tests would be a great place for it. And then just other things that come up, traveling. At University of Wyoming, we have this wonderful World Languages Day that Rebecca Steele puts on, that we got awarded yesterday. So there's all sorts of costs. You know, you get it, and I loathe it. All the different things. Our communities are taxed, teachers are nickeled and dimed. I just keep a checkbook in my desk at school. I mean, I just used to, and just kid would come to me, first come, first serve. And that was what I did. And you only get a percentage. And what I started doing is these cards and things. I just started writing a $20 check, because they weren't getting all the full amounts. And that's one of my least favorite things, is that middleman gets a lot of the money, and the clubs don't get much. And my freezer is just full of butter braids. I don't know about you guys, but have so many butter braids. And then they're a lot of work. Not that I don't mind work, but like I said earlier, it's just not my skill set. So income to the rescue in our community, what was called the Purple and Gold Legacy Foundation. That is our colors, the purple and gold Hornets here in Pine Bluffs. And what it is some local community members in our town created a board. And on that board, there's parents and local business owners, our former athletic director, as well as our current athletic director, and alumni. And their job is pretty big. Their job is to solicit business owners for donations. There's a big banquet, they hire a catering service, or some of that food is donated. We had a lot of donations too. They pay for some beer, some kegs of beer. So you will want to hold this off your campus, probably, if it's a public high school. I have found that it seems like alcohol brings people in the most, food and alcohol, and people start to spend money easier that way. They advertise and sell their tickets. They rent a location. Of course, they set up for the evening. Now, what happens is all any group within our community that benefits children have access to getting money from this Pine Bluffs Legacy Foundation, any group whatsoever. Our churches, I created a Frisbee golf club just because there's going to be some monies available. I got monies, like I said, for my Spanish club as well as my classroom. And so all the sponsors of these groups do come in and help set up as well. We don't have to do a lot, and it's not mandatory, but we did come in and kind of help set up tables and things and kind of get things going, but we don't have to run any of it. This Legacy Foundation, the board does it all. And then they create the request forms for the money. They have a group that makes the decisions on how the money is given to the various groups, which I was a little afraid of equity when it came to that, but they did an excellent job, in my opinion. And that totally depends on your board, of course. So what is the event like? These are the main things that we did. There's a big banquet dinner. They got people to donate the food and the paper products. They did kind of hire someone to come in and kind of serve it, so they didn't have to do that as well, or do that. There is a beer garden. I guess we'll talk about that in a second. I'll get through all the events. Banquet dinner, there's a 50-50 raffle. There's pick a prize tickets, which is a drawing, the wheelbarrow drawing, which was by far the most popular, and you'll see why here in a moment. And then a regular auction and what's called a reverse auction, which I've never seen before. So I'm going to explain each and every one of these in this next slide. So we had a banquet dinner. What they did is they sold tickets for $100. That got in you and another person. You got dinner, of course. You were entered into the reverse auction, and then you were given an hour of the beer garden. We got an hour of free drinking there. Now, they also did sell these custom glasses, which I was going to grab one here, but I didn't grab it, that you could buy for $25. And then it allowed you to drink from the kegs free the rest of the night. So that was an interesting thing to kind of get a little extra money for them. So that's just the regular tickets. But then they had other tables that they sold. They'd sell a table for $1,000, and that was the silver level. And that got you dinner for 8 people. But what also came with it was you all got those drink glasses, so you got to drink for free all night. Then there's a silver level giveaway at the end of the night for the host of the table. That was kind of a drawing. And then you also got entered into the reverse auction. Then there were 2 more tables they sold. They sold a gold level for $2,000. Same idea. 8 people got to eat, have the drink glasses, reverse auction, but the difference is they were entered now into a gold level giveaway, which was just a higher prize. And once again, that's just for the host of the table, not all 8 people. And then they had a platinum level table for $3,000. Same idea, just was a platinum level giveaway. And some of the ideas, I did write down some of those for this year as content. We had this last August as our very first one. But the idea, they want to do it in the spring. So we're actually going to be doing this in April this year, and they'll kind of be on that rotation moving forward, kind of around tax season. After that, maybe some of those are for those businesses, especially for write-offs. But some of those giveaways, let's see, for the silver giveaway this year, right now they have some cornhole boards that were custom cornhole boards that were donated. The gold giveaway, there's a shotgun. We're Wyoming, so guns are great auction items. And then the platinum level was a nice rifle. They have Broncos tickets available, a nice tailor-made golf club, driver, fire pit. Those are some of the ideas that they have for this year for those gold tables. And that seems like a lot of money, but the idea here is instead of getting nickel and dimed all year long, our community said, we're going to have one event and everyone come in and, when you get nickel and dimed over a year, you're spending $250 or more, right? And so do that all on one evening, one big bang to celebrate your community, your students, your school. And so donating, $1,000 is maybe not so bad when you consider how much you spend over a year. Last year, I just bought a ticket for my wife and I, but this year I bought the $1,000 table and got my coaches from track. We're all going to share a table and represent our track team that way. So So that's the banquet. And I don't remember what we ate. We ate, I think actually it was a nice beef dinner. They also have a 50-50 raffle that's going on throughout the evening. I gotta check my time. I gotta make sure I'm staying on time. 50-50 raffle, pretty self-explanatory. They were selling one ticket for $5, or you got 5 tickets for $20. And it just like any typical 50-50 raffle you've ever been a part of. They also had pick a prize raffle where they just have a bunch of smaller prizes at tables that you would buy a ticket for, same prices, one ticket for $5, 5 for 20. And then you'd go around and you would, let's say it was a local, I don't know, local gift cards that were donated, or foods, or maybe a little movie pack was put. Our PTO does stuff like this all the time to raise money for the elementary. You donate all these items, and then you buy these tickets and put them in a bucket, and at the end of the night they draw a ticket, and whoever's tickets pulled gets to have that item for the evening. Those are just kind of smaller items that people get excited about. Then the wheelbarrow drawing. This is by far the most popular, and it literally was a brand new wheelbarrow full of booze. It was, bottles. We have a local distillery, and they donated 6 or 8 bottles. There's 6 and 12 packs of beer, and it was a wheelbarrow just filled straight with booze. And this was a unique idea to sell the tickets. It was $20 for tickets to get involved in this, but it's called the booze stretch. And so what you did is you reached out your arms. I don't think you see, you reached out your arms, and that's how many tickets you got. From tip to tip of your fingers is how many tickets you got. Being 6'5", I was very often asked to buy tickets for various people because I have a pretty big wingspan. The shorter people didn't get as many tickets. So that was kind of a unique thing. What they found is, you see, this is our current athletic director, Will Gray. His job that night was literally to take all those tickets and perforate them and stick them into a jar. And that took him most of the night. It was pretty funny to see him back on that chair back there, just putting tickets in this bucket. At the end of the night, once again, ticket was drawn, and you get to go home with I wouldn't doubt if there was $1,000 or more worth of booze in that wheelbarrow. It was pretty remarkable. So just that alone, if nothing else, maybe steal this idea as a fundraiser. It was pretty remarkable. Then we just have a regular auction. A lot of these pictures, we didn't take many pictures from our evening. So some of these pictures are just stock photos from Google, but here in the top right is an actual photo we had 2 different actual auctioneers come in and kind of do the auction. And auction items were, as you can see in here, there's a painting. There were other guns given away. We had grills, like smoker grills, and hunting trips, spa trips. All these things were donated, and then they auctioned off. And I'm going to be quite honest with you, I don't think a single item went for less than $1,000. I'm thinking they went higher than that. Like I said, the community rallies together, they get excited for this, and they realize they can drop all their money in one spot, and they're willing to spend, $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 on a shotgun that's $700 they could buy. So I thought that was pretty remarkable. But it's a typical auction. We are in Wyoming, so lots of cowboy hats and lots of experience with auctions. So if you've never done that, maybe do a little research, have a good auctioneer. We have 2 different guys that can do it really well. And then have ringmen. Ringmen are the guys that kind of help point out, like there's being bids here or there, wherever they are. So that was the auction. Like I said, that has brought in so much money. The hats were an interesting thing. These were auctioned off periodically throughout the night, and there was just literally this isn't the actual hat, but a hat that was, just said Pine Bluff Hornets on it. On the side, it kind of said, Pine Bluff Legacy, or I'm sorry, Purple and Gold Legacy Foundation. And there were only 8 hats that they auctioned all night long. And each hat, once again, went for over $1,000+ for a $20 hat. But the idea of the hat then is if you purchased a hat, then you got in a special drawing at the end of the night for the grand prizes. So they buy these hats, and then they can get into a drawing at the end. And if my memory serves, I couldn't remember, but I think they had a male and female prize. It was like 4 male hats and 4 female hats. And they had like, I think they had of course, once again, guns. And I think for the ladies, it was like a nice hand pistol. Maybe it had like some pink camo on it or something, and a case and some ammunition. And for the guys, the same thing. It was like a nice rifle with a lot of ammunition and a case. And what was really interesting about these hats is then you got into this, they pulled up like the 4 ladies who had the hats up front, and then they would take away your name. Okay, you're out, sorry. And then they pull it till there was 1 ticket remaining, and that was the winner. And what was interesting when they got to the guys that evening, when they got to the last 2 gentlemen to be picked for the win, one guy whispers into the other guy's ear, and then this guy shakes his head in a positive way. And they had decided not to take the prize, but to auction off that grand prize one more time. And that brought in like $2,300 more at the end of the night, just right on top of it. So it was pretty remarkable. And it is kind of a pride thing now in the community to be wearing these hats. You see these 8 people wearing these hats all the time. And it's kind of like we got the hats. The reverse auction, this was the most unique thing that I had never experienced. And what a reverse auction was, and they literally, whoever bought a ticket, your name was placed on a note card and stuck on a cork board at the front of the gymnasium. So every ticket purchased had a card and your name on it. And periodically through the night, they would just pull names off of that cork board, and they'd say, like, I don't know, they just decide every 5th or 6th name they pulled off there, they would say, okay, you are the winner, and what you were able to do was get your $100 back that you spent on your ticket. So you basically were getting your evening for free. They would give you $100 cash back to you. The interesting thing is not a single person took the cash. They just donated that $100 right back into the cause. So I thought that was kind of a unique thing, and just another one of those examples of a community wanting to give back. They don't really want the $100 back, just keep it. Once again, how that worked, they just pull off a name and say, like, Dustin Lee, you're a loser, and Carlos Wick, you're a loser, and then Kristen, you get your $100 back, and then you would say, just keep the money. That was kind of what everyone did. Just keep it, just keep it. And then at the end of the night, people are chanting, just keep it, keep it. It's just kind of a fun camaraderie thing for a community. Got about 10 minutes here, so I'm going to wrap up and allow for lots of questions, because I'm sure there's plenty of them. Some new things that they're thinking about having this year is a silent auction, just have that kind of off to the side. They also found a lot of people were just priced out of items. A teacher like me didn't have a few $1,000s to try to buy a grill or something like that. And so they just had then donation cards all around that you could just then say, Dustin Lee wants to donate another $300 on top. That wasn't going to buy me, get me in any auction item, but I could just donate those $300. And then have some lower priced items somehow. They haven't quite figured out how they could try to keep those people interested in donating their money to at lower priced items, not these high priced auction items. Let's see. My favorite part was this. They had guests of honor. We have this couple in town, Bunny and Alan Jones, that are just supporters of anything Pine Bluffs Hornets, anything our kids are doing. Bunny used to be the librarian at our high school for quite a few years. Unfortunately, when I came in, she had already retired. She goes to my church though, and these people are just absolutely amazing. Everyone's got them in their community. One of my favorite things about Bunny is when your name is in the local Pine Bluffs Post newspaper, she puts $5 in a card puts the news, she cuts out the newspaper article, and then she says, congratulations, love seeing your name in the paper, I'm so proud of you, and then sends it to that student, that athlete, that teacher. I mean, I got some of those myself. She's just a remarkable woman. So their idea was every year they're going to have guests of honor that are at the head table. They don't have to pay anything. They just get to be honored all evening long. And I thought that was a pretty classy move by the foundation. So at this point, I didn't have the chat open, but are there any questions? We got about 7 minutes. I was kind of fast and furious. I'm sure maybe some things didn't quite make sense to you. Adriana, you asked how much money we ended up making as a community. It was over $85,000 one evening. Once again, I made $2,000. I got $1,000 for my classroom and $1,000 for my Spanish club. And how that process works is they send out a form, and it's a real simple form. The form says something like, what group are you representing? Of course, who are you? What group are you representing? And how much money you want, and what is the purpose of it? Like, why are you wanting it? And they don't need a lot of details. They don't need line items of, all the various things, senior woolly and apple tests, and like how many. They just want to say, all right, you want $1,000 for Spanish club? Great. Give me a couple ideas of how you're going to spend it and how it'll benefit kids. And so we fill out those applications. Then, like I said, as a board, they get together and decide, and they look at that. I had asked for a little, and I'd actually got some money for my track and field program too. I got $5,000 for that, just because that's a little bit more expensive of a thing to run. And they just, as a board, they get together and decide who's going to get what, and if they get the full amount or not the full amount. For track, I'd actually asked for a little bit more than that, and they didn't give me quite the full amount, but they gave me most of it. So, and like I said, my biggest concern was equity. Would the football team get just as much as the volleyball team, as much as the Spanish club? And that's the hardest part of this. The hope is just that group that makes those decisions can do it equitable. And the people that are on the board, I trust, I feel very confident in to do that. Of course, I don't get to know exactly how much every group got, but it certainly, I feel very like they're doing a good job with it. So at this point, I'd like to open up to any questions. What didn't make sense to you? I will have these slides available to you. I'm not quite sure yet, but I think we're going to have one common space for us to get all these slides. So what questions can I answer?
I guess, how did the creation of the board, because I mean, that's the power in that board, right?
100%.
So like, who started that? How was that created?
That's a good question. It was like I said, there was really 3 people that were kind of heading it up, all parents and our athletic director, 2 parents and our athletic director, and they were just tired of the nickel and diming, and they're like, what can we do to do this better? And to be quite honest with you, how they did this is they went to various communities and saw how they were doing similar activities. I know the one gentleman that I talked to, he went up to Morrill, Nebraska. They've made up on a very similar night over $100,000. I'd heard that Goshen County, which is kind of near us, they've made similar amounts to us, but they went to all these other groups and kind of learned from them on what to do. But it literally just took them wanting to get together and saying, hey, I want to start this group. I want us to have one evening, and so they just started talking to important people. Once again, I don't know. I think the one thing I would change is maybe our current athletic director, he might not want to be part of the board itself, but just a liaison. That was a lot of concern with equity, excuse me, because he's also our football coach. There was, I think he's a great liaison, but I don't know if he should have been part of the board. But we did have a former athletic director, just because they're the ones, or activities director, they're the ones that kind of oversee all those activities, right? And so I think it is smart for them to be part of this, maybe just not decision makers on where some of that money goes. But yeah, Carla, to be honest with you, it was just the desire of people getting together. And so as teachers, what I've kind of thought is like, how would another community do this? Is some teachers would maybe kind of, you know, talk to people they think that could pull this off. We all have parents that show up and kick butt at these fundraisers when we're doing enchilada sales or dinners. That just, I mean, most communities have these types of people. It's just a matter of targeting them and seeing if they'd be interested. And the one thing I don't have is our date, but if you know, we would if you're local, like I know Adriana and Conchita is, you could come check us out for an evening. We'd love to show you that. Other questions? I know that's not the perfect answer, Carla, but that is kind of, it was just their desire. Say, we're going to do this. It did rub some people the wrong way at first. And I'll tell you the one thing that's the hardest is getting that money to your school. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know all the ins and outs of how that happened, but being a government entity and donations and stuff, there were some ins and outs that had to be figured out before they just, you know, said, here you go, here's $85,000, Pine Bluffs, especially when we have a sister high school near us called Burns High School. You know, they didn't have a community, they didn't have something like this. So they were like, how are we going to get our money? And so there was some issues there. The school district wasn't very comfortable just taking all that money and, you know, shoving it to one school and not the other. And so there were some hurdles that had to be jumped, but they figured it out. I've been spending the money. I just don't know exactly how. Other questions?
I'll ask one more.
Yeah.
Now I'm just thinking like, okay, I love your wheelbarrow. What was it called?
I call it the booze stretch.
Okay, so, and I have a student, I also teach Educators Rising, which is a class to grow leaders, and we are going to national, so that's what I'm thinking right now. But I'm just thinking how to, obviously, high school students going around selling tickets saying, hey, but you know, because we don't have this right now, but I do think that would be, yeah, I'm just thinking how to do it other than you couldn't, it'd be kind of awkward having kids do it, selling that.
Yeah, I have your answer. And I apologize. I didn't say that. The kids did nothing. The kids did not sell the tickets. This Legacy Foundation did the tickets. The idea was we don't, because booze is going to be part of this, we don't want them to, they weren't, this was the biggest rub for some people, was they didn't invite the students. We don't want them to be part of this. We don't want, you know, there to be any questions of anything because of the alcohol. And some people didn't like that because, well, then what are we teaching the students? I mean, they got to work to make this money. But in the end, it was like, yeah, but we're tired of these fundraisers. We're tired of them working hard and not getting a very big percentage. And now, so what we did is kids had nothing to do with it. They didn't have them selling the tickets, and we're a small community, so it doesn't take much to get word around what we're doing and how much it costs, etc. But the Legacy Foundation just blasted on all the social media sites, and you know, or you could email these people or contact these people to get your tickets. Yeah,
no, that's good. It would just be, you know, starting that. I'd like to take that wheelbarrow idea. Just how to, I do one of my students, they own a brewery. And I mean, what they did for our music department is, I think they made a beer. It was like, it's called Son of the Brewer. The beer that, and then I think there was a contribution that went towards the music program. But yeah, no, that wheelbarrow is funny.
Yeah,
thanks for your idea.
100%. And there's my email address. There's my Twitter account. Email me, and I can try to find out. I can try to figure out more on how, you know, the district was able to get the money into our system. I just don't know the ins and outs of that right now. I think that was one of the biggest hurdles in the end. So anyways, thank you guys. I think we probably better get off. Please, once again, email me if you have any questions.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.